Hello and welcome to Pilbology. This is an intermediate video and it's going to be looking at adjective endings today. This video is specifically dedicated to my fifth form class. You know who you are, and it's going to cover what we went over today in our class. Now, some confusion has been arising between when we use the nominative case and when we use the accusative case, and which adjectives we stick on, which adjective endings rather we stick on, and where we do it. Okay, so this is going to clarify. We're going to start with the nominative case. The nominative, remember that the nominative case centers solely and exclusively around the subject. Now, predominantly, definitely not all the time, but predominantly, this is the first idea in a sentence. Now, with definite articles in the nominative case, a definite article, first of all, what is a definite article? Quite simply, a definite article are your words der, die, and das. Those are definite articles. So, let's pick an adjective. In this case, we're going to choose the adjective alt, or old. Now let's choose three subjects. Well, we need a der word, a die word, and a das word. So, let's have Hund. Let's have Frau, and let's have Haus. And then we have our core adjective. Right. This is how simplistic the nominative case is. The nominative is all about the subject. Where it is all about the subject, there is no change. You have der, die, and das. Alte, der alte Hund, die alte Frau, das alte Haus. It never changes in the nominative case. This is why it's important to know in a sentence where the subject is. What is the subject? If you can identify the subject and there's going to be an adjectival ending, so for example, the black dog, you would say der, because it's masculine, schwarze Hund. If you wanted to say the intelligent cat, you'd have die intelligente Katze. If you wanted to say the fast car, you would say das schnelle Auto. Because Auto is a das word. So der, die, and das. This is why it is important to know whether it is a der, die, or das word. However, even if you get that wrong, these do not change. If you are talking about the subject in a sentence, it is always going to be an E ending. Now, the confusion arises between a definite article and an indefinite article, and this is where you find that the endings do change. Right, so let's add the indefinite articles. What is an indefinite article? An indefinite article is how you say a or an. So these words here, der, die, and das, all mean the. The. And the indefinite articles, they all mean a or an. So, let's look at them. We've got ein, eine, and ein. So, masculine, feminine, neuter. Now then, let's stick with our adjective, which is alt. And we'll put that in. So, alt. And we will stick with our same three nouns. So we have got Hund, Frau, and Haus. Now this is where the adjectival endings actually change. And they change depending on the gender of the noun. Okay, so let's just recap. We have der, die, and das. We've got der Hund, die Frau, and das Haus. And the same rules apply here. Okay, we've got ein Hund, eine Frau, and ein Haus. But we want to describe that house. So, after the indefinite article, the changes to the adjectives are as follows. If it is a masculine word, for example, Hund, the ending reflects its definite article. Okay, so it is a der word, it ends in er. Secondly, eine Frau, eine alte. No change between the definite and the indefinite article. It's always going to be eine alte. And ein altes Haus. So the difference is these follow in the nominative case. This is the nominative case only. These endings, these E endings follow the definite articles, der, die, and das. Where you just have the definite article, you only have these E endings. And they mean the followed by the adjective. The indefinite article, when you're being more specific, you're being specific about an old dog, or an old woman, or an old house. That is when they change to reflect the gender. Okay? So, now let's look very briefly at the accusative case. Right. I cannot stress enough that there is only one change here. And that change is when you have the masculine definite article, or we are talking about a masculine indefinite article. In both these cases, here is the change. Der turns into den. And ein turns into einen. Let me give you an example of both. But before I do, let me just say, nothing else changes. It is only the masculine nouns which are affected. So let me give you an example. If we look at the two examples which I've given here and here, please ignore the full stop here. So a definite article, again, is the word for the. Okay, so just to reiterate, this is always going to be a definite article, always refers to the or the, and an indefinite article always refers to a, or an, however you want to say it. Right, not Alan. That looks like Alan. It's not Alan. It's a or n. A-N. Right. So, I have the pen. Now, the subject here is I, and we're talking about the pen is what we have. So the first idea is I, that is the subject. I am the subject, and the pen is the object, or the direct object. That means it's accusative. That means that if we have a definite article which will precede the noun, it has to be accusative, which is why it says Ich habe den Kuli. I have the pen. Now, if we have then a look at the indefinite article, we've got Ich habe einen Kuli. Okay, so you take that en ending, the accusative ending, and it's glued on to the indefinite article. So Ich habe einen Kuli. Ich habe einen Bruder. Ich habe einen Hund. So this is the only change between the nominative and the accusative when we're talking about adjective endings. So let's glue an adjective in there, and let's stick with the same adjective we've been using, which has been alt. Okay, and quite simply, it follows the same rule with this en ending, and you would end up with Ich habe den alten Kuli. I have the old pen. Looking down at the indefinite article, the ein, because it's no longer in the nominative, it is now in the accusative, becomes einen. So ich habe einen, and quite simply we add the en ending. Everything else is the same. Okay? The one time where it is different is when when everything is in the plural. And in the plural, if it was a definite article, it would be D. The ending, the adjectival ending, is always an en. So whatever the gender, you always have the definite article as D, and the ending of the adjective, the adjectival ending, is going to be en. Whether it's, let's look at the ones that we've got above very briefly before we end, whether it's die alten Hunde, die alten Frauen, die alten Häuser. Okay, as long as you know what the plural endings are, the plural forms of the nouns are, all you're adding is a D and then the adjectival ending en. It's exactly the same for accusative as it is for nominative. Okay, that is adjectival endings in a nutshell. If you have any queries or comments, please leave them in the comment section below. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. And if you like the videos or find them helpful, then don't forget to click like. See you next time.